Hello, 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 and thank you for joining in today. It's a really somber day for us in the UK. Another terror attack in London. Our prayers from Star Reachers and our thoughts are with the families of those affected. We really need prayers. Please let's join together and pray for God's protection over our nation. It is really sad, and we refuse to be afraid. We refuse to allow fear to rule over us, and we know that the Lord's hand of protection is upon us. So it's been a bit of a while that I've not been able to come on live due to obviously so many other things that happen to come in at this time, but I'm glad to be back again today. For those joining us for the first time, my name is Pauline Lehman. I'm the founder of Star Reachers Community Initiative. It's a charity based in Manchester, and our mission is to raise aspirations of young Black children, break the cycle of pupil underachievement in education, and promote the well-being of our children. And it's a cause that I'm very passionate about because I believe that we can't sit down and allow our children to continue to underachieve in school, because I believe that our children have got ability, they've got potential, they've got gifts, they've got talents that God has given them. And as parents support them, those talents, those giftings, and those abilities will become fully manifested. So we support parents, we deal with issues surrounding pupil underachievement in education. And in today's program, I'm going to be talking about effective communication with our children. It's such an important thing to be able for us to effectively communicate with our children. Is key to nurturing a healthy relationship with our children. Something my daughter asked me 2 weeks ago when there was the suicide bomb attack in Manchester. She said, "Mom, how come these boys' parents said they didn't know he was going to Manchester? So what happened? Why was there that lack of communication?" I believe communication is so important, with our children, especially our teenagers. And the big problem within the community is that there seems to be a breakdown in communication between parents and teenagers. When children go through the childhood phase, it is okay, but when they become teenagers within our community, there is an apparent breakdown in communication. And I think that it really shouldn't be, because when there's that breakdown of communication, then a lot of things could go wrong. And for example, your child could be involved in things that you really are not aware of. So today we're going to be talking about, how we can communicate effectively with our children to be able to nurture a positive and a healthy relationship with our kids. So why do we need to nurture? Why is it important for us as parents to be able to nurture a good relationship with our children? The very first thing is that when you have as a parent, you have a good relationship with your child, you understand them better. You get to know their moods. You get to understand, know their moods. You can figure out when their moods change. You know how they feel. You can easily predict what your child is likely or unlikely to do. So it's really important that we are able to nurture a good relationship with our children. And when you have a good relationship with your child, it's very important. They are likely to become more open to you. So it's a shame that, a lot of children, a lot of teenagers rely on helpline. They ring helpline, childline, and all the helplines possible to get help, because they are unable to speak to their parents, to communicate, to express their concerns, to express their worries and their struggles to their parents. We are our first our children's first influencer. So if our children are unable to speak to us, we have no control over what Childline is going to, the person on the other side of Childline would be able to say to your child. You know what values you want to instill in your child. So it's important that we are able to nurture and build this relationship with our children. We become their number one, their greatest influencer. And I believe that is what God has designed it to be, that parents should be children's first influencer. When you have a good relationship with your child, it's easy for them to obey and to comply, because it's easy for us to tell them, don't do this, don't do that. But if there is no communication, the communication is not going, it's not flowing, then they don't take it in. But it's really easy to get children to obey, to comply, to reason with us when we have a good relationship with them, and to overall protect and safeguard their future. When there is a relationship, you influence your child, you contribute to their future, you can help make a contribution to the decisions and choices they make. So it is such an important thing to do. And I believe that our children want communication, want us to be able to have a good relationship with them. But a lot of times they feel we don't understand them. They feel a bit like we are in two different worlds, and that doesn't help issues. So I believe that, it's important as parents, let's go all out of our way and work to improve communication with our children. I'm going to share with us shortly 6 things that we can do to keep the line of communication open with our children. I believe that it's important to start communicating when they are children. We don't leave it till they become teenagers, because when they become teenagers, they have so many things influencing them. They have the peers, they have the media, they have everything out there that is throwing different messages at them. But if that communication, that positive and healthy relationship was developed when our children were younger, then it's more likely to continue even when they're teenagers, even when they go through their mood swings, they go through the different phases and different things that hormones put them through. If that communication had been there, it will be easier for us to be able to communicate with them. And I want to encourage parents of teenagers, if you have teenage children, during the teenage phase, they go through a time where they withhold conversation. They don't want to talk too much. They want to stay in their rooms. They want to be on their phones, on their devices. It is your role as a parent to really go all out and seek that relationship with your child. And one of the things I want to throw to us parents this week, I want to set a 7-day relationship challenge for us to do this week. As research shows that if we do something over and over again for 21 days, it becomes a habit. So I'm going to help us, share some things we can do daily to actually build that bridge, so that, close that gap of communication that there is between us parents especially and our teenagers. So I'm going to share with us what we're going to be doing at the end. And each day on the Star Richards page, I'm going to post one strategy that I'd like you to try out, and I'd like you to leave a comment and, just to share with us how it went. So I will be doing that every morning. I'll post one strategy for you to try out. And there are strategies I would encourage you to do, daily as you do them over these 7 days. I don't want it to stop. I want you to try and continue and let it become second nature, because if we keep the line of communication open, we are less likely to lose our children to the outside world and all the things that it has to offer them. So 6 things we can do. Now, as I share the 6 things, if you have other things that has worked for you, I don't want to claim to have all the information, all the knowledge. Please share things that you think have worked for you so that we can all benefit from it. So the very first thing that will foster good communication with our children is to love our children unconditionally. Love them even when they make mistakes. Love them when they are not perfect. It's Interesting that a lot of us parents expect our children to be perfect. We as human beings are not, as adults are not perfect. Why do we expect our children to be perfect? Why do we get so mad and are so harsh when they make mistakes, when they fail, when they do things we do not expect them to do? Let us love them unconditionally, and let us continue to remind them we love them. That is so important. When they know that they are loved unconditionally, period, the parents become, like a shelter, a safe, safe haven. Home becomes a safe haven for the children. So number one, love your child unconditionally. When they make a mistake, tell them, talk about the mistake, let them learn from it, and at the end, remind them you love them unconditionally. When you discipline them, at the end of when they've gone through the consequences, have that conversation with them and tell them you love them and you believe in them. That is why you are taking them through the consequences. You want them to learn what it is to become a successful adult. Number two, build an atmosphere of trust. A lot of teenagers feel that, their parents don't trust them. I know it's really easy when children do things that are wrong to say, oh, I don't trust you. But let's learn to give our children a second chance. When a child makes a mistake, a teenager flunks, does something wrong, call them, have a conversation and say, look, let's turn a new leaf. I give you a second chance. Let's even share with them our own failures to our own. Let's be human with our children. Let's be down to earth. Let's be vulnerable. That way they know that, life is not perfect. There's no perfect human being. We all make mistakes. I am very, very down to earth with my children. And I make mistakes. I share it with them. I talk about lessons I have learned from them. That way, we teach them that when we make mistakes, it's a human thing to make mistakes, but that we learn from our mistakes. That will help build trust. I know in a lot of situations, trust has been destroyed between parents and teenagers when they've made mistakes and they've done things that parents have not been very, very happy with. But let's remember to give our children a second chance. Let's tell them, we want to be able to trust you. Let's try, give it a try again. Today is, tomorrow is another day. It's another opportunity for you to prove yourself. Number three, mutual respect. I believe so much in respect. Even in the way I speak to my children, I would say please, I would say thank you. I won't just shout and just give orders anyhow. It's so important that we are able to speak to our children with respect. When we speak to them with respect, they know that that is how, human beings should treat each other. Respect. But when we are shouting at them, we notice they start to shout back at us as well. So yes, let's talk to them. The tone of voice we use. As I said once that, we speak so nicely to our friends, we spend a lot of time talking to our friends, laughing, cracking jokes, but we don't do a lot of that with our children. So let's speak to them with respect, with the right tone of voice, with a healthy tone of voice, that will pass on the message that you are valued. Number four, avoid judging. So when your teenager comes to talk to you or your child comes to talk to you, you want to be able to listen. Let's listen to them without judging. Sometimes, especially the teenagers, they just want to pour out their hearts to you. But as soon as they start to talk to you, if you start to judge them and you start to draw conclusions without listening to the full story, then they start to close up. They start to feel, well, there is no point telling mom. She's going to draw her conclusions anyway. Children are human beings and not possessions. Absolutely. I fully agree with you. Thank you for that, Vanessa. So yes, let us avoid judging them. Let's listen to them. And at the end, ask them, especially for the teenagers, do you want to know what I think about it? Do you want me to help you? But let's give them, a listening ear. Number 5, let's avoid criticizing our children. Our teenagers believe that obviously there is a generation gap, whether we want it or not. when we were teenagers, our generation as teenagers, our experiences are more or less, there's a lot of differences between the teenagers' experiences today and I, for example, when I was a teenager. So it's important for us to not be quick to judge them. Yes, I've made that mistake. I've learned from it, and it does fracture relationships with our children. Let's try to understand where they're coming from. Let's try to see with them. It's really important. We can't get away with not stepping into their world. We need to be able to step into their world, to be able to see, with them. And I would encourage parents, if you are struggling, you feel you are on a different island to your child, I would say go out there and find out what are the trends. Talk to them about, the current trends. It could be in music, just to know what they're listening to. It could be in dressing. It could be in anything that you feel you're not understanding. Talk with them. Just, they like to talk about things like that, things that they're passionate about. That's a good starting point to get them to talk. And you'll be surprised your child is going to talk and talk and talk and talk. So listen to them. Listen to them without criticizing them. And finally, be supportive. Be positive. Let's be positive. Let's be hopeful. Let's make them to understand that there is hope. Yes, you've made a mistake today. You failed at this today, but I believe in you that you can do it. So let's create an atmosphere of positivity, of improving, their self-belief. We live in a very negative world where children are surrounded by negativity, starting from the school, their peers, even the negativity and the limitations the teachers and other adults in school make them to experience. Even ourselves as parents, parents too. Some parents can be very negative, and the media is very negative, showing you the things you cannot do, showing you the highs that cannot be attained. So we need to create an atmosphere that is supportive for the children. When they make mistakes, we are there to support them. You are your child's number one cheerleader. You are your child's first teacher. You are there to, you are a shoulder for them to lean on. But when they make a mistake and they come home and we beat them down with our words, it doesn't help them. Vanessa says, when parents are in tune with the trends of their teenagers, it prolongs the parents. I absolutely agree with you, because sometimes we're almost going crazy for things that we might not even need to worry about, just because we don't understand their point of view. Thank you for that contribution. And Martha says, let our children be our friends, sister, brother. Absolutely. Treat them as equals in some respects. I absolutely believe that mutual respect is so important, because when there's that mutual respect between us and our children, they take that, the message we are sending across to them is that all human beings deserve to be respected. Whether you're older, you're younger, you want your child to do something, please, can you get a glass of water for me? Thank you. And that kind of thing. And let's throw positive messages. Let's praise them. Let's reward them. That way, we're going to nurture positive, we're going to foster that effective communication within the home, and that will build a good relationship with our children, especially our teenagers. My heart really bleeds, because within our community, there is a serious issue in terms of the breakdown of relationship, between parents and teenagers. So, as I said at the start of this short presentation, starting tomorrow, I'm going to be sharing some tips on the Star Richards Facebook page to help improve communication with our children, especially our teenagers. And if your teenager, the relationship between you and your teenager is really fractured, please be humble. Okay, there is nothing wrong with telling your teenager, I am sorry. There is nothing with telling your teenager, you know what, when I said this because I didn't understand you. You know, I didn't grow up in your time. Yeah, so let's be honest with these children. If it means saying sorry to start it, please let's do that. We can't afford to lose our teenagers. The numbers of teenagers out there, going astray, going led into things that could have been avoided is alarming. And we need to regain our children. Within our community, we can't afford to lose our children. Our teenagers, our children are tomorrow's future. And if we believe that is the case, then we're going to go all out of the way to nurture that relationship. It's something I'm really, really passionate about. I made my share of mistakes, but when I learned, it's something I made up my mind to go all out for, and I can see the impact it is creating. And I believe that if that is your case, you can see that you will see the impact, the difference that will make. I always say to parents, parenting is a learning curve. No one knows it all. No one has all the answers. And I am one for learning, continuously learning, to help me improve and become a better parent. So please, if you're going to start, it's going to not be easy to start, but please, I encourage you to start. So I'm not going to keep us for too long. Thank you so much to all those who have joined today. If you liked it and you think it's going to help a parent of a teenager that please share with them and encourage them to look at the Facebook page tomorrow, where I'm going to start to share some strategies to start to rebuild that positive relationship with our teenagers. So if there are any questions, any comments, they are welcome. Otherwise, I will have to end here today. It's back to school tomorrow. I wish all parents a really, really awesome next half term. Remember, it's the last half term before the end of the school year. All children will be doing exams. Mine are starting tomorrow. So please, let's support our children to be effectively prepared for these exams. As you know, data from the tests they do and the exams they do are so vital in helping children to be set in new classes for the next academic year. So until next week, have a wonderful week. Stay safe. The Lord is watching over you. We say no to fear. Again, I started by saying that at the beginning. We will not be afraid because the Lord is watching over us. Have a blessed week. Bye-bye.